Hi, I'm Oswald. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to configure secure access to your storage account data using the service endpoint. Firstly, what is service endpoint? Service endpoint in Azure provides a secure and direct connection between your virtual network and your Azure services, the likes of Azure Storage and Azure SQL. Now, this connection is done over the Azure backbone instead of the public internet. So in Azure, the service endpoints allow you to connect securely to these services without needing a public IP address. Service endpoints basically just extend your virtual network to Azure services and thus improving the security. Now, let me give you this analogy. Say you have a concert and people are coming in via the public entrance and it's probably very crowded and less secure. People are trooping in, but you need a secure access for your special guests, your VIPs to come in. And so you have a VIP access that allows those VIP guests to come into the same venue but through another path. And this path is more secure and private, is isolated from the public access. That is just similar to what a service endpoint does. It gives you a special access route that enables you to connect and communicate between your Azure resources and your virtual network via an optimized route instead of the internet. So here in the Azure portal, we're working with a storage account called C2 Storage. And in this storage account, I have a container that is called Singapore. And in Singapore, I have pictures of places I love in Singapore. I love Singapore. Now, here you have these blobs in here, and access can be given to these blobs via, you can use a direct access, you can use your SAS, and you can really use your account keys in case you want to connect to this resource. But let's say we're trying to use a direct access. Let's try this. I can just come here and copy, and if I try to access this here, hit enter, and then we see that there's an error here, and that's simply because we have not given access to that. So we've not given anonymous access to this storage account. So I'll go do that and come back here. So come back here and come to configuration, and here in configuration I will just allow blob anonymous access. So enable this, click on save. Okay, so now that that's done, we can go back here to the container, and then I'll just go into the container. Then I'll change the access level. So I'll click on the access level and change this to blob anonymous read. Okay, it's already in blob anonymous read access. So if I come to this second one here, I'll just copy the URL and I'll paste it in my browser tab. So this is the photo. Now we can have access to this anonymously. So you have this other one that wasn't showing. You can refresh and you will also see the photo that was there, the blob that was there. So I'm going to just close this and come back here. Assuming we want to get access to this also via maybe a SAS, we could just come and generate a SAS quickly. With the SAS, we can view this blob. So I will just leave everything else as is. This is the only permission I need, read, and then I'll quickly generate a token and get the SAS URL and come back here and just paste it. This gives me access. Unlike the public anonymous access, this will work even if the public anonymous access is not turned on, is not enabled, because this is signed by the access key. So we have the same photo right here. I'll come back here again and I'll leave that one as it is and open another blob, copy the URL. This time around we're viewing it via anonymous blob access. So you can also give access to someone via the access keys. But one thing you should know is networking is king. If you come into the storage account and you come to configuration, networking, and you have access to them right now, and you were to, now right now for public network access, we have enable from all networks. But if I change this to either disable it or enable from selected virtual networks, I would not be able to access this if my IP is not given access, and also no other person, even if you have the URL, will be able to access this. So I'm going to click on this and I'll go ahead and save this. I'm not adding even my URL, my IP address to give. I'm not giving access to my IP address via the firewall. So there's no access given to anyone. So I'll click on save right now. Okay. Give it a few moments to populate. And then I come here and let's refresh this. I'll do that again. So now you see we cannot have any access to this anymore because networking has been turned off. We cannot have public access. I'll come to this one that was given via SaaS. Okay, the other one was via this one was via SaaS, this one was via anonymous access. None of them is working anymore. The same goes for your storage account. If you're trying to connect this via the access keys, I can come here to access keys. And if I'm trying to connect to this storage account using the access keys, I'll just come to my storage explorer and try to connect and connect resource. I want to connect this storage account using the account name and key. So I'll click on next and I'll come back to the storage account, copy the name, come back here and click on the account name. Then account key, I'll just go back to my storage account and then I would copy the account key and then come back here again and I'll paste this account key right here. Click on next. Warning for malicious. You must be sure you have to trust this in case of malicious blobs. So go ahead and connect. Now we have that connection is successful. So I can come here now and see what is inside. We have blobs here. And view all. Right now, you see, we cannot view this because of networking has been turned off. But let me just go back here. Let me come back here now and turn on networking. Just give it an enable from all networks. So I'm going to just click on save. So we successfully saved firewall and virtual network settings. I'll come back to this storage account. See the error that we had before. I'll click on view all, and you see now we can see the content. So if networking is turned off from every public access, we cannot have access to this storage account. But right now, with service endpoint, we can turn this off for everyone, and then I should give a unique path, open a pathway for our VIP, like our resources that are part of a single network or a part of a virtual network that we trust. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do right now. You can see this. If I turn off the networking, we cannot have access to this anymore. Even if we have linked it up, we cannot have access anymore because networking is not allowing it to work for us. So we can come back here and say, let's come to our virtual network. So I have here a virtual network, and this virtual network, we have a VM that is connected to this subnet C. So come here, you can see VM1, and this VM1 is connected. I want to show you. It's connected to virtual network MACRE and subnet C. So we're going to come back here to virtual network subnet C and turn on service endpoints on this subnet. So we'll come scroll down. This is the edit subnet menu. Come down, scroll down to service endpoint. So we'll just choose the service we have here. Now, what is going to happen here is if we turn on the connection to a particular service, it means if we have multiple instances of that service, this subnet will be able to work with it. So we're just going to say we want to use storage. So come down to Microsoft Storage. I'm using Microsoft.storage because both resources are in the same region. If they were not in the same region, I'll have to use Microsoft.storage.global. But in this case, I'll go with Microsoft.storage because they're in the same region. And then I'll go ahead and save. So this means it can work with a storage account right now. We can attach this subnet to a storage account. So I'm going to allow that to go through. So that's done successfully. Save subnet C with a service endpoint. If I scroll down here and click on service endpoint, you can confirm that we have a service endpoint now and it's connected to subnet C. It succeeded. It can work for these locations. This is the region pair. Just showing East US, West US, and West US 3. So those are the options we have. I'll come back to my storage account and enable from selected virtual networks. So I have turned on service endpoint on that particular subnet. I can come here and say add an existing virtual network that I have. I can say, okay, no problem. I'm going to add an existing virtual network here, and I'm going to look for the virtual network. I see VNet MACRE, and then that's good enough. Subnet, I'll choose. I'm going to you see the options here. These ones don't have service endpoint attached to them. So you see, it's saying service endpoint required. but this has a service endpoint attached to it. So I'm going to click on this. So it's going to just route traffic through the Azure backbone in an optimized route and just make it happen. So I'm going to add this. So it means that any resource that is part of this virtual network subnet C, will be able to access data that we have in our storage account. So that's the only access I'm giving, and I'll go ahead and click on save. So that is done, and then we can just come back to our storage account, and let me just refresh. So you see, we don't have access anymore. If I try to view it, access has been turned off. Only devices that are linked to that virtual network, not just that virtual network, devices that are linked to that virtual network and that subnet C can have access to this my storage account called C2 storage. So right now I have VM1 that is turned on. I have VM1 that is turned on and it's part of that subnet C. Right now I'm going to attach it here. So I'm going to come here and click on this. You can see VM1 remote desktop. So I'll just come here and click on the storage account and add account name and key. Come back to my portal, and then we'll go ahead and get that access keys, copy the storage name, come back here and next. Then I'll save the name, go back and get our key, copy the key, go back here, and then I'll paste the key. Then click on next. Same process and just connect. So remember, the storage account I have here, the storage explorer I have here cannot view this. It doesn't have access anymore because it's been disconnected. But this guy, this particular VM has access to subnet C. He has an IP in subnet C, so he can view it because we have this VM is in subnet C. If I click on this, I can go ahead and see the items I have in subnet C. I can go ahead and just open maybe something else I can view. It's opening up right now, transferring it. So it is opening this with a paint. I can just come here and maybe just shrink it, and let me do this. That is the image right there. It's open with paint, but that's the image right there. But this same image I cannot access with my host computer that has no link to that virtual network. So the request is not authorized to perform the operation because I'm not part of that virtual network subnet. But this VM is hosted in that subnet and in that virtual network. So it has access. So that's what service endpoint does. It grants you access to, it gives you a direct, secure access, a private connection between your virtual network and your Azure services. So if you put this up, you just isolated every other access and no one else can have access apart from your service endpoint. As always, like, subscribe, leave a comment for me. Thank you.